Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
A lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion.
The WNBA now finds itself in a brutal financial tailspin, forced to watch as its entire business model collapses without Caitlin Clark on the floor. Once again, the league proves it has learned absolutely nothing about protecting the one player who dragged it from obscurity into the national spotlight. This is the story of a league repeatedly sabotaging itself, allowing its golden goose to sit injured on the sidelines while stubborn denial costs them millions of dollars day after day.
And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In an era driven by manufactured drama and nonstop social media outrage, hard facts have become as rare as sold-out WNBA arenas without Caitlin Clark. When Clark went down with a quad injury on May 24th, the league's dependence on a single superstar was exposed in real time. Now, with her sidelined again due to a groin injury for an unknown duration, the exact same pattern is playing out all over again.
Injury jumped to her groin likely because of compensation. But the thing that you have to be careful of is if, say, you try to rush her back from this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
Nationally televised WNBA viewership dropped by a shocking 55%, while Indiana Fever games alone saw a 53% decline. Average viewership fell from roughly 1.8 million when Clark played to just 847,000 without her. And this is where the situation crosses from alarming into downright absurd. Predictable, yes, but catastrophic for a league that continues to ignore its own warning signs.
Clark went down. The WNBA ratings have dropped over 55% across the board.
Hey, guess what, guys?
The league is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys.
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th, national TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
While Caitlin Clark was busy filling arenas, shattering TV rating records, and generating unprecedented revenue, the WNBA was busy doing what it does best: nothing. Instead of protecting its most valuable asset, the league allowed opponents to target her freely. This, despite the fact that Clark is responsible for roughly 26.5% of all WNBA economic activity, a number that should have triggered immediate action, not silence.
News is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA. At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her.
What makes this situation especially frustrating is that none of it is new. The league has lived through this exact collapse before and still refuses to learn from its own history. Watching the WNBA repeat the same mistakes is like watching someone touch a hot stove, get burned, then reach for it again while insisting they never saw it coming.
Really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries. With the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to subscribe. The financial fallout has been fast and brutal. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games collapsed by 71%, with some seats falling from $860 to just $250. Across the games Clark has missed, average ticket prices dropped from $1,370 to roughly $80, a staggering decline that leaves no doubt about who actually drives interest in this league. Road games that were moved to larger arenas specifically to accommodate Clark's demand are now struggling to fill seats that would have been sold out with her on the floor. Even the highly anticipated Chicago Sky vs. Fever rematch saw ticket prices crash from $210 to $95. This is the same matchup that once pulled 2.25 million viewers and ranked among the most watched WNBA games ever. Without Clark, it instantly turns into just another game casual fans simply ignore.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA has successfully broken Caitlin.
Veteran sports journalist Christine Brennan, whose upcoming book on her game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports promises to expose the league's failures, has been one of the loudest critics of how the WNBA has handled its biggest star. The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment, Brennan wrote after yet another incident where Clark was targeted by opponents. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see. Her criticism strikes at the core of the issue. The league has clear data showing that Clark alone accounts for more than half of its television audience, yet they continue to allow her to absorb cheap shots and unnecessary physical play designed more to intimidate than compete. It's the equivalent of a restaurant owner letting customers harass the chef whose cooking is the only reason the place stays open.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on than Caitlin Clark is to the WNBA.
The pattern has become painfully predictable. Clark takes hard fouls from opponents more focused on sending messages than playing basketball. Of the league's 30 flagrant fouls issued in 2024, 5 were committed against Clark, with the Chicago Sky responsible for 80% of those incidents. When she responds, she's labeled too aggressive. When she doesn't, she's called soft. It's a no-win scenario created entirely by the league's inaction. Meanwhile, the financial damage spreads beyond Indiana. The WNBA was already projected to lose roughly $50 million this year, and despite the Clark-driven surge in popularity, those losses are accelerating without her on the court as ratings plunge, merchandise sales stall, and attendance slides back to pre-Clark levels.
I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20-something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The most damning part of this entire saga is that it was completely avoidable. Clark entered the league as a humble rookie who consistently praised her teammates and deflected attention away from herself. At just 22 years old, she handled criticism with remarkable composure and professionalism. The league had every opportunity to embrace her, protect her, and use her popularity to elevate the entire sport. Instead, jealousy, insecurity, and petty politics poisoned what should have been a celebration of women's basketball. The ripple effects now extend far beyond TV ratings and ticket sales. Corporate sponsors who invested millions based on Clark-driven growth are beginning to question their decisions. This exposes a deeper identity crisis within the WNBA. The league wants the credibility of a professional sports organization while simultaneously indulging in manufactured drama for clicks. You can't have both. Professional leagues protect their stars and uphold competitive integrity. Drama clubs chase attention and hope someone notices.
I admire about Caitlyn. She's a warrior. She's tough. You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I haven't seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
The comparison to other professional sports leagues is both stark and embarrassing. Imagine if the NBA allowed players to spend months targeting LeBron James with dirty plays while brushing it off as just competitive basketball. That behavior would be shut down instantly, with suspensions handed out before the next tip-off. Yet the WNBA appears content to let this destructive cycle continue, seemingly convinced that any attention is good attention. The result has been a toxic environment where fans are actively choosing not to watch games without Clark because they no longer trust the league's competitive integrity. When fans openly admit they won't tune in because they believe games aren't being officiated fairly, the problem runs far deeper than ratings or revenue.
Lena, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on, she getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
What happens if she gets hurt? That question now feels painfully prophetic. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that the WNBA had multiple chances to correct course and failed every time. Each incident involving Clark should have been a wake-up call to establish firm standards for player protection and accountability. Instead, the league repeatedly defaulted to the same tired explanations about basketball plays and letting players be physical. Ironically, Clark's injury, the very outcome the league should have been trying to prevent, has become the clearest proof of her value. A 55% drop in viewership isn't subtle. Yet even with that unmistakable evidence, there's little sign the league has learned anything. Officials continue to hide behind talking points about competitive balance, while dangerous plays against Clark go largely ignored and routine moments involving her are oddly overanalyzed.
Because of the way they play the game, because I love the WNBA, I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlyn Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She going for a year or two. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
The solution to this crisis isn't complicated, but it does require the WNBA to make uncomfortable decisions about what kind of league it wants to be. If it wants to be taken seriously as a professional organization, it needs to start acting like one. That means establishing clear rules around player protection and enforcing them consistently. It means stopping the prioritization of manufactured controversy over the quality of basketball on the court. Most importantly, it means acknowledging that players who fill arenas and drive television ratings deserve protection from targeting that serves no competitive purpose. The collapse in viewership, attendance, and revenue without Clark is a blunt reminder of what the WNBA looked like before her arrival, and what it risks becoming again if nothing changes. Without Clark, the league averaged just 555,000 viewers this season, well below last year's 670,000 average, signaling a return to the pre-Clark era of empty seats and limited relevance.
What I saw walk into the game is what the media don't see. Thousands of kids.
Wearing what, Gil?
Kids. Huh?
What were they
Caitlin
wearing?
Clark jerseys.
Were they Fever jerseys? Were they Iowa jerseys? Were they
Wherever she played. It was whatever she played.
And that's what was more impressive to me.
It did that. It wasn't just it was Caitlin in the back.
For her style of play.
But her style of play. But it wasn't adults. Right. It was parents bringing their kids and their friends. Them seats was kids filled.
Right.
And that's what they don't they don't grasp that part of it.
The most tragic part of this entire saga is that it never had to unfold this way. With proper protection and smart promotion, the WNBA could have used Clark's popularity to build a stable foundation for long-term growth. Instead, it constructed a fragile system that collapses the moment its biggest draw steps off the floor. Until the league learns to protect and elevate the players who actually generate interest, it will remain trapped in a boom and bust cycle where one star determines whether anyone is paying attention. The real question is whether the WNBA will finally learn to safeguard its golden goose, or continue repeating the same mistakes until the opportunity created by Clark's popularity is completely squandered. Based on everything we've seen so far, betting on sudden common sense doesn't feel like a safe wager.